Hello and welcome to a new devlog video for Peasant Uprise.
This is the captain speaking. We have a long video ahead of us since debugging is a huge part of any software development, so get yourself comfortable, grab a drink and chill.
Debugging is the process of finding and resolving defects or problems within a computer program that prevents its correct operation. The Unity ecosystem provides a very convenient log system where you can trace in console any particular message and even include some data values. The advantage of this method of tracing is its quickness and also that it doesn't stop the game. For real step-through debugging, you can turn to Visual Studio, where you can create breakpoints and step through the code line by line. For harder problems, this is the preferred method. However, it is slower to run and it will freeze the game in the process. These are common debugging tools, but not the ones I want to spend time on. One of the things I've learned after working for so long in Unity is that one of the most powerful features of this software is the ability to extend the editor. I started coding editor extensions to build and configure actors, but I always looked at these opportunities as a means to create something or to automate a task. Lately though, I've had the idea to use editor component extensions and editor windows to help me audit and test these levels. These mechanisms have helped me in the process of finding and resolving defects, and hence I consider them debugging tools as well. For example, I created an extension of the Unity button, and while designing the button, I found myself having to run the game just to test if the hover was looking the way I wanted, and that adds time for a simple test. So I added a couple of debugging options to the editor component extension so I could see the result when the mouse was over the button. A simple UI button to activate the hover allows me to see and tweak the final result in fast iteration. I came up with another debugging tool idea, and while I could have added this form of debugging into a component as well, this is something that I did not want to attach to a game object, where I have to remember to remove from the final builds. Being in a separate window is also convenient for me, as I can run the game and have the debug window open in a second monitor, without moving the entire editor or having to stop the game. The original idea was to add something to help me test the quests, but I went on to extend this window to become more of a testing toolkit, that I could change settings, give myself resources and tools. A place where I can use a Unity event to trigger any method in any object in the scene. And finally, the quest section to test the flow of quests. And for good measure, I also added an output window so I can get some feedback from this tool without having to stop or minimize the game to look at the console. The big feature here is the quest debug section that allows me to change the status of a quest without actually having to perform the quest. Because at its core, quests are handled by delegates and triggers, updating the status of a quest at runtime will trigger the consequent behavior when that state is reached. So I've been able to quickly test that the flow of all the quests works as expected without having to run through an entire level, and this is a huge time saving. To demonstrate, we're going to take the Iron Fist quest. My peasants are still at camp and I'm going to simulate that the quest has been given. You can see now the exclamation mark on top of Logan has disappeared and a marker has been put in place on top of the tools market. Now I have two options. I could just update the status of the quest to accomplish, but instead I'm going to use the debugging window to give myself the 3 tools I need. That way I'm also testing that the tools delegate is working as expected. So I am generously giving myself a pickaxe, a hammer, and a saw. Since there is a delegate that informs about tools being added to your inventory and a quest controller subscribed to it, this one will validate whether the requirements of the quest have been fulfilled, and if so, they will update the quest status to accomplished. A few more things have happened, and now we can see Logan quest marker has reappeared, telling us that it's time to talk to him again. But I'm going to bypass that and close the quest. And everything seems to be working as expected. And the quest success window has popped up. And this quest has unlocked the next quest, and that's why Logan has a new marker again. Overall, I hope you appreciate how much time this is saving me from running around the level with a bunch of peasants and going through each sequence of a quest. As a solo game developer, I have to be very mindful of time because it is severely scarce. I have learned a few lessons as I've worked with this system. The first one being to think about extending the editor with the tools you need early on in development. If the goal is to save time, then the sooner you start saving, the better. This is a tool that I should have for sure built a long time ago, but I guess it's never too late. Another lesson is to think that you'll need to access methods outside of callbacks. And while that has been my common practice already, it does prove to me that it was the right way to go. The third lesson is that delegates is the way to go in large games, and for some things that are highly dependent on each other. Now, I don't want to sell delegates as the solution to all evils, as delegates also have their own problems. But in situations like quests that multiple things need to happen simultaneously as a quest reaches a particular state, this system is perfect, not only for development but also for testing. And because I'm using delegate, it only takes updating one data point, the quest status, for everything else to continue its course. Finally, while there are different approaches and beliefs regarding static managers, for me it really has been a big win, and that's all I really care. This system will not be possible if I had to attach objects or scriptable objects for each action I do. As you have seen from the code, most buttons in the editor just call a single manager method. This is the final toolkit window as it stands today, but I'm pretty sure it will evolve, adding more options to help other areas of the game. As a good reminder, this is only my approach. Some like to use log terminal, where they can speed commands, and that's totally fine. But again, I do like this approach of a separate window, completely extracted from the game itself, and with an easy UI interface to work with. Either way, if you're into game development, I do recommend to think about debugging tools early on, because it will not only save you time, but it might also guide you in the way you code, which is really one of the reasons or principles for test-driven development, which is also a well-known development process. This tool has helped me a lot in the auditing process, and now I'm done with level 2 and I'm finally made my way to Molten Forest. So with that, happy debugging, and if you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, and click on the bell to receive notifications of future uploads. Thanks. With that said, I'll see you in the next update.